Welcome to Independent Thought and Freedom. The power of mega corporations like Google, Facebook, Amazon, Monsanto, Pfizer, ExxonMobil, and others is looked on with a mixture of admiration, awe, and fear. They're bigger than many governments in the world, and they often affect the direction of world history itself. They control our lives in so many countless ways we don't even know. However, despite their size, none of these are the biggest or the most powerful corporations in history. That's right. That distinction goes to the East India Company, which existed for 250 years from 1600 to 1858. If you don't believe me or if you doubt it, think about this. The BBC calls it the most powerful multinational corporation the world had ever seen. They go on to say, imagine a company with the influence of Google or Amazon, granted a state-sanctioned monopoly and the right to levy taxes abroad, and with a MI6 or CIA and an army at its disposal. At its height, it has been estimated that 1 in every 4 transactions in the world was directly connected to the East India Company in some way. It owned the ports of Singapore and Penang and played a major role in developing its whole cities, including Mumbai, Kolkata, and Chennai. It was one of the largest employers in Britain, and it also hired vast numbers overseas. In India, it ran a military of 260,000 people, which was twice the size of the British Army. It shaped everyday life in England and across Europe, from the tea the English started to drink to the calicos they took to wearing. It was they who colonized India, not the British government. They waged wars and controlled territories, not only in India, but also in other parts of Asia and Africa. That is, until 1857, when its Indian soldiers rebelled against it and destroyed the company in a brutal war. That destruction, it turns out, however, was mainly in name and formally. My guest on today's podcast is Mr. Rajesh Sekhar, founder and editor of Great Game India magazine, out of India and available online. Great Game India is a quarterly magazine on international affairs, providing global intelligence through strategic analysis by placing events in a geopolitical and historical framework to better understand international developments and the world around us. Great Game India is a group of physicists, computer professionals, management experts, business analysts, geopolitical strategists, and others who, from their backgrounds, developed a systematic research methodology and study process to understand and unearth time-hidden documented historical events and to enhance everybody's understanding. It is one of the most innovative and important journals in the world, in my opinion. Not only do they uncover the connection between the families that owned the East India Company and the most powerful multinational companies since then, including today, they also show how these same companies continue their extraordinary pillaging, looting, and scheming to systematically extract the enormous wealth of India in particular and other developing countries as well. Rajesh Sekhar was born in Anantapur, Andhra Pradesh. He holds a B.Tech in Electronics and Communications from JNTUA and completed postgraduation in Geopolitics and International Relations from Manipal University. His area of expertise is in researching economic warfare, electronic warfare, counter-terrorism methods, illegal drugs, arms deals, diamonds, geostrategic implications, intelligence gathering, ways, trends, doctrines, future implications, theory and practice in containment of third-generation cyber warfare and fifth-generation people's wars. With all of this, it's amazing. I was amazed to learn that he's only 29 years old, but he has a vast knowledge of history and access to a wealth of information, an ability to investigate and put these together in illuminating ways. And he has the energy to turn this into to turn these things into public campaigns that have actually affected national politics in India on more than one occasion. He has also demonstrated how the continued hunt for many of India's resources and treasures continues to drive the policies, aims, and aspirations of the biggest, most powerful, and most lawless multinational corporations, just as they did during the time of Christopher Columbus and the heyday of the East India Company from Queen Elizabeth to Queen Victoria. I am very pleased to welcome Sekhar to Independent Thought and Freedom. Welcome.
Hi, Dr. Mikil. You introduced me very well, and I'm not that much, knowledgeable as you. You guys are very experienced in all these areas. But I will provide my type of knowledge into you, into this interview. Here, first of all, great game, right? Great game. Great game is a terminology that was coined by the Kipling, Robert Kipling.
Yes.
And he's the author of Jungle Book, by the way. And that's the most best-selling book, Jungle Book.
Right. Yeah. The Jungle Book. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so
Jungle Book. He wrote that book. So he's also into the British intelligence. He's actually he coined this word, great game. The term the great game is basically the fight between the Russia and the British India at that time.
Yes, and also throughout Asia, playing Russia, China,
Mid-Asia. Yes,
that's the great game to control Asia, and
that's
a enormous wealth.
But it never when we heard about this, we thought it's a sports. It's kind of a sports or something like that. So then we went and read about it, and then we came to know that, personally, I came to know that it's not a sports or something. That it's a main root cause of what we are now in India, and what we call as India of post-independence.
Wow! That's amazing. So you're talking about you and your friend, you and colleagues, sort of looking into this. Now, even before we get there, as a sort of icebreaker, what influenced you, or who influenced you, to start to think in these terms, to think so independently? Because you, as far as I see, you're forging a new path. I've not seen anyone do this type of research in this way. I personally started to, and then when I saw what you all have done, I think you all have definitely surpassed what I was trying to do. I don't know who inspired you? How were you inspired? I'd really like to know that.
Yeah. When I'm doing my engineering in Anantapur, I'm from Anantapur, so I did BTech from JNTU, and when I'm doing my second year BTech, I went for one conference on international relations and mainly on Indo-China relations. Then I came to know about Dr. Srinivas Prasad.
Okay.
He's a research scholar, and he's a PhD scholar in economics. He studied in Texas University. So from him, I got all the information. He's a mentor. He's kind of a professor. He's a guru for me.
Right.
And
how old is he?
He's now 45 years.
Okay, right. Mm-hmm. So still, he's not like an old man at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then he introduced us to the subject of geopolitics and international relations.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then, for past 80 years, we are digging on different kind of studies and different kind of subjects that we never been into, when we never saw when I'm doing my studies. Of course, it's never been in India, first of all.
That's right. That's right. So he's based in India, but he studied at the University of Texas.
yes.
Okay, and so the first time you heard him, what topic was he talking about?
He was talking about Vijayanagara Empire.
Oh, okay, the empire in the south of
the
India.
gold rush of British and how they smuggled the gold out of India and all those things.
Right. Well,
After the demise of
I see. I mean, unfortunately, although I'm of Indian ancestry, I don't speak an Indian language as my first language. We've been here in the Caribbean for 6 generations, and we've lost a lot of it. Although we have kept a lot, but so my pronunciation might be a little off. I was pronouncing it Vijayanagar, but it's
Vijayanagara Empire.
Okay.
Yeah, Vijayanagara. Vijaya means like it's victory.
Victory, and Nagar is town or city or village or something. Mm-hmm. So that was a huge empire in the south of India, and I think a lot of people, given the education, especially in the West that we get, we think of the West as being the most powerful and richest countries in history, and this is simply not true, and it's not the case. Angus Madison's work, for me, I don't know if you're aware of his work. If you're not, I suggest you really get familiar with it. His work on the history of GDP, global GDP from 1 AD up to 2050 AD. He clearly shows how India and China dominated the world economy for most of these 2 millennia, except for from the 1800s is when it changed. But yes, but I mean, even when you go to India and you see like certain, not even the biggest kings, but some of the landlords, the zamindar, some of their palaces and stuff are richer and more opulent than what you would find in Europe. So yeah, so the type of wealth and golden cloth, gold in walls, on cups, on everything. I mean, that type of wealth is really, really unheard of in the West. And some people in the West knew about this and were actively trying to get it from the kingdom of Vijayanagar, correct?
Yes.
And that was
not only the Vijayanagara Empire, like Travancore Empire in Kerala.
Right, in Kerala.
Still now, their wealth is not accounted. Like there are a lot of walls that are not open. Like still, the hunt for the treasures was still going on in the temple of Travancore.
Right, yeah, because and a lot of people again aren't aware, especially when the names change. Like Kerala, it used to be Malabar, the Malabar coast, and that's where the ancient spice trade was, with Rome, with Greece, with Egypt, and so much gold was there because that's what people traded for, the spices, and spices were actually worth more than gold.
Yes.
Thousands of years of gold reserves are there. And your reports are amazing that you have in Great Game India. I learned so much of it. I'm a lot of times I'm just repeating some of the things I read from you here.
Yes. So where the Great Game started, like when we are digging about, like then we came to know that every war, like pre-independence of India, every war that is fought in anywhere in the world is only fought for Asiatic resources, and especially India.
Right.
So when we came to that theory, we didn't first believe it. I mean, because how can World Wars and World War I and World War II and before, the wars that were made in the Europe, fought in the Europe or in the Japan or in Russia or wherever the world, how can it connect to India? Like why it's connected?
Yes,
so
again, a lot of people, that's right, that's a good question. A lot of people would say, this is because you're from India, so you think the whole world is revolving around you, and really, but you yourself were skeptical of it. You were saying, why is India the center? So
because in India, history is not common. I mean, here it's only the Academy of India. It's turns around only in the technology. and not most of the people into the social sciences. They are into the social sciences, but not into the history and geopolitics,
Right.
mainly international relations. So, for us, history is like after. I mean, it's like it's only for the exams
Yes.
to
Yeah.
pass out of college.
Hmm.
So it's kind of it. It's not like what happened in history to know. It's not about knowing the truth or knowing the facts or something
Yeah.
like that. It's only for exams. So it's only for academics
Right.
purpose to get the certificate.
Hmm.
But so that from that kind of a atmosphere, I mean that from that kind of environment, anyone think that uh, the wars that were fought everywhere in the world or in the Europe or in the US or something, how it can be connected to India?
Yeah.
So then we went researched on different parameters and different conditions and case studies. What exactly that how India influenced those wars,
Right.
how India
So
is
what was the
connected to those
first?
wars.
What was the first study you did along that lines that sort of made you see
The
the
first
centrality in
line
India?
is Tipu Sultan making connection with Napoleon
Right. Tipu
Bonaparte.
Sultan and Napoleon. Hmm.
Yeah, so that's a connection. That why Napoleon sent a messenger, a spy, to meet Tipu Sultan.
Hmm.
So then we went and uh, research on England and France wars,
Yeah.
Franco-England wars, what British wars.
Hmm.
So what exactly influenced Napoleon Bonaparte to come to connect with India? There are a lot of, I mean, Germans are there, uh, like a lot of allies are there, like who can help Napoleon at that why especially he is interested in India.
Right. So he could
Uh,
have had German. He could have had other European
yeah,
allies, but he really
yeah,
wanted Tipu
yeah,
Sultan in is
yes, yes.
Mysore, was it, or is
Uh, what?
was he in Mysore?
Pardon?
Tipu Tipu Sultan.
Uh, eh, Tipu Sultan, yes, Mysore,
Right.
yes,
Hmm.
Mysore, yeah. He's the king of Mysore, yeah. So that too, he's from Muslim, like he's a Muslim.
Yeah.
So and Napoleon Bonaparte is a France, which is like Orthodox Christian kind of a
Catholic.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah, Catholic. So why he has connection with, like, why he's risked his thing to connect with Tipu Sultan at that time, like, so that kind of a connection. That then we went and see that Napoleon Bonaparte, basically he thought that uh, the entire British missionary is coming from India.
Right. So all of Britain's
Okay.
strength was in India, and so,
Yes.
so he
Yes.
thought by
And
allying with
yeah.
Tipu Sultan.
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
The man. Not only a trade route, trade kind of a thing, but financial step. Not only a financial support, trade support, trade link support, or something like that, and also the war missionary. The soldiers
Mhm.
that Indian kings are giving him, giving British to fight the war that is never connected to India.
Right. Yes.
So
Yes.
basically, they are making slaves use uh, in their wars, and Indian uh, Indian soldiers are skilled also,
Mhm.
so they can fight in any environment at any conditions.
Right.
So
I'll tell you a story. I remember when I was in England doing my PhD. I had never been to England before, and
yeah,
so I was really learning about the country. And this was in the 90s during the Tony Blair years, and they were doing a lot of interventions in like Bosnia and Europe, and with the breakup of the
yeah,
Soviet Union and everything. And then I remember at certain um, very key points in battle, right, where the British, needed expert help. They talk about well, we're bringing in the Gurkhas, right, and then
yeah,
everybody in the whole country was like, oh wow, they're bringing in the Gurkhas. And the Gurkha, what do they mean? What are the Gurkhas? Who are the Gurkhas? And I didn't realize it's the Gurkhas from Nepal, these Nepali soldiers who are like the secret force still that Britain uses in terms of
yeah,
Like when they're serious, they have to bring in the Gurkhas. I mean, and so I mean, it can all these things to continue to this day, and it is amazing how many things are hidden. Yeah. So because it sounds crazy to say, oh well, everything is related to India, but I mean, I know for me, it's when I started to stop looking at the narratives of history, how it's taught to us, but I just look at the facts. I look at the numbers. I look at the movement of gold. I look at the movement of trade. And then by looking at numbers and by looking at maps, how much territory is controlled, and these sorts of things, you get an entirely different view of history than this idea that, well, oh, the white man came to India and it was so underdeveloped, and they unified the country, and this whole mythology that it's really something. So you found out. So your first thing was with Napoleon, and I read your report on that, and it's fascinating. Yeah.
So then, so we provided all the war machinery to fight with France. So then he thought that to defeat England is to throw out British from India.
Right.
So then he wants to help Tipu Sultan, where Tipu Sultan is also fighting wars with British in India. So then he thought that he's a man that someone can help me out. So then Tipu Sultan also thought that I can get help from France, and we can together fight war with British and throw out British from India. Mm-hmm. So that's where when Tipu Sultan decided to come to India through Egypt.
You mean Napoleon decided to come?
Yeah, Napoleon. Yes. Yeah, Napoleon. Yes, sorry. Mm-hmm. Napoleon started to come from Egypt. Then the British intelligence got the news from he's coming directly to India. Mm-hmm. So then they put every force in Egypt, and they burned the boats of Napoleon at that time. He was defeated in Egypt. He wants to cross the Suez Canal, but they never allowed it. Once he was into Suez Canal, Tipu Sultan can bring him to India through Arabian Sea. So,
because
they decided
would be connected to the Muslim world. So the Suez Canal in Egypt would have been a good meeting place, and then they would have taken him across to India. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's why his boats were burned in Egypt, and he was defeated in that war. Then afterwards, we know that in the next war, he was captured by the British. So that's where that first great game was started. Then it ended over there.
Right.
So then after Napoleon, it's many people thought that like to come, but they never risked it. They never came here. But afterwards, interestingly, it is Hitler.
Right, Hitler. Right, that's very important.
Yes. So during World War II, I mean, not only during World War II, before World War II, he started to build a railway line from Berlin to Lucknow.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. What year was that they were building a line to Lucknow?
1934, 35.
Okay. Kind of all right. Yeah. And to Lucknow would have been under the control of the British, right?
Yes, British.
So he would have had to go through the Balkans and the Ottoman Empire.
Yes. He united Ottoman Empire at that time.
Oh yes, it was
Germans.
Broken
Germans,
up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was so that was a lot of British territory and French territory then, right?
Yes.
So
he wants to come up with his war missionary. So he wants to, bring all the goods and all those things, like all these tankers and all. So he wants to build a railway line along like that's only one of the plan of his
Okay.
entire strategy.
So so
It's
so
only one
you
of the
so that was a plan he had.
yes,
Um, so and that's why he would have uh, been at war with France and Britain and so forth. That's what you're saying?
yes, yes.
Okay. Because what I was thinking about was Subhash Chandra Bose.
Mm-hmm.
Is that connected to Subhash Chandra Bose at all?
No, not at that point of time. But he's interested in India because he also knows that throwing British out of India is the only way that he can control the Europe. Like I mean, he can control the British. He can stop the British
Right.
from the further expansion. So
Yeah, he said that often that what if you
yeah,
hit India, then
yeah,
Britain would
yeah.
die. Mhm.
He started the policy look east. Um, so look east policy, like
Oh, the Look East policy, right?
yes,
Hmm.
yes. So
And I mean, the other thing, the connection I thought you were going to make was, um, I mean, the adoption of the swastika and so forth being a Hindu symbol, and
yeah,
use the
yeah,
Sanskrit word swastika,
yeah, yeah,
and then he
yeah, yeah,
supported Indian independence with Subhash
yeah,
Chandra Bose, and even the Japanese slogan in World War
yeah.
II was Asia for Asiatics.
Yes, 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 yes.
And again, in looking at dates and history and territories, you see a very
Yeah,
different story of decolonization because it was the
yeah,
Japanese that drove the Dutch out of Indonesia. And then they were
yeah,
pushing the English out of Singapore and
yes,
Burma
yes,
and going into India.
yes.
And I mean, they were decolonizing Asia.
Yeah, yeah,
And Germany was in alliance with them. You know,
yeah.
it
This
undermines
along
any
with Subhash
analysis
Chandra
that they're
Bose.
racist.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry, what you're saying?
yeah. This they did along with Subhash Chandra Bose. He also knows that. Like I mean, he also knows the point of great game. I mean, because he went outside. He
Yes.
went and met Hitler. He went and met Japanese soldiers. I mean, it's a common knowledge that every war room will have the proper strategic studies they will do. So he might come to the knowledge of what British is at that point of time.
Yeah.
I mean, British. What is the importance of India to the British?
Yes.
Where India is called jewel in the crown.
Right. The jewel in the crown. Exactly.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And
So he knows the importance.
and a lot of people outside of India have no idea who Subhash Chandra Bose is. And just to
Yeah,
fill it in, I mean, he was a Congress leader along with Gandhi and Nehru, but he disagreed with their policy that they should support Britain during World War II. And instead, he declared independence. He raised an army, the Indian National Army and the Azad Hind government.
yeah,
And this
yeah,
government was recognized by Japan
yes,
and Germany,
yeah,
and they effectively they they won Indian independence because Gandhi had stopped his campaign in 42. Um,
yes,
and it was after the Indian Mutiny, again, not the 1857 one, but the 1947 of the Navy.
yes, yes,
That's when Britain decided, well, listen, they can't hold India
yes,
if the
yes,
soldiers aren't loyal to them.
yes,
This history, so much of these stories of history
yeah,
just suppressed.
yeah, yeah. That was a yeah, and it's also one of the simple thing that we never. There is so much of importance to this word called great game, right? Like it's
Yes,
never printed in our history book.
right. Yeah,
It's nowhere in India
you
you
know,
will get.
I'd love to know about this because um, you talk about a certain methodology that you've developed, right? And it's a lot of people whose discipline is not history, you know, computer science and I guess the military aspect, counterterrorism, has to deal with
Yes,
history in a certain way, definitely. Um,
yes, yes,
but you know, business analysts, management experts, all these people
yes,
involved
yes.
in your magazine.
Yeah,
Um,
yes.
but tell me, can you explain what your systematic research methodology and study process is?
Systematic methodology. Uh, first, we the basic platform for us is revisionist theory.
Mm-hmm. And
Revisiting
revisionist
what
theory is meaning what?
revisiting in what are the things that went in the past.
Right.
Not believing as it is what it's written in the history.
Right.
Okay. So that's why, like for example, there is India-Pakistan issue is
Yes.
there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not been born. It's not been made up in the last 10 years.
Right.
It was born after. Before World War II. How British planned it and all those things. It came from the borders, right?
Yes.
Then we question about like who drew the borders, why they drew the borders, and it comes from that kind of revisiting the past in
Right.
any of the things. Like
Right.
for
So
example,
in other words,
uh,
you just erase what's told, and you're looking
yes,
at the facts and asking
yes, yes,
questions. And
yes. Go into the past, what exactly happened over there, because it's a origin. It's origin from there,
yeah.
right? Like it's born from the borders.
Yeah. I mean,
So
so how do you get your information?
information is all around.
Mm-hmm.
Information is there, but we just connect it.
Yes.
We just
So
connect
so
it.
so you take published works already.
Yes, published works, news articles, interviews,
Mhm.
primary and secondary research. We basically do that, and we connect the gaps.
Is it a lot of Indian language research you do?
Yes, Indian language research.
Yeah, because I mean, I think some of the information, like on the Vijayanagara Empire,
Yes, yes,
I didn't really come across so much of that in
yes,
in
yes,
my work. Or it's only with you that I was able to understand it in a proper context, and then after I would look and find little things here and there. Even things like the Maratha Empire, you
yes,
hardly read anything about that in English,
yes,
and it was so important in terms of defeating the Mughals, and then and it controlled
yes,
so much of India in the 18th century. Yet
yes,
it
yes,
glossed over as if they never existed, as if it was Britain just took over straight from the Mughals. And so, I mean,
yes,
so I was just wondering how you, because I myself try to do this not only with Indian history but world history, um, to 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 try to explain the facts and not just listen to the stories that have been told. Um, so I mean, I'm wondering if you have access to all, maybe because of the different languages and you're close to the source material in
yes,
India, you can get these things.
yes,
Is that it? Mhm.
yes, yes. Basically, Vijayanagara Empire born from Kannada language. He belongs to Kannada. He's a Kannadiga.
That's
It's one of the
Srinivasa's
language. Yeah, it's one of the language of
right.
Karnataka state. So he also knows Telugu. He
Right.
knows Maratha and everything like because he almost ruled southern part of India,
Yeah.
Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and all.
Mhm.
So basically, we know this language.
Yeah.
So that's why we went and read about like how he.
So where do you get these sources? Do you get them in museums? Do you get them in public libraries or private collections? How do you find this material?
We go to the libraries.
Right.
Hampi is the capital city of Vijayanagara Empire. So there are libraries over there in Bangalore, and they preserve the literature of Vijayanagara Empire.
And how old are these manuscripts you're looking at?
How old? 600 years ago.
Wow. So
700 to 600 years.
wow. So it's written on paper, 600-year-old.
Yes,
Yeah, and you're
yes. They
allowed
are
to
now
look through it?
digitized. Yes,
Sorry? What size?
they're uh, they're also digitized now.
Oh, digitized.
Some yes,
Right,
some
right.
the manuscripts are digitized now. They're written on the leaves.
Right, right. Yeah, because once once you get the facts in front of you, and then you look
Yeah,
at the stories that we're told in history books, it does not add up. It just does not add up. That's what I found, and the per, the way I was led to this was through a debate between Andre Gunder Frank and Immanuel Wallerstein. Are you aware of those
mhm.
people?
No, no,
All right.
no.
Immanuel Wallerstein is an important theorist in the West. He's out of New York, and he spoke about a 500-year world system, right? And basically he was talking about it. It was related to the debates on underdevelopment, saying that
Okay,
underdevelopment is related to development in the sense that the capitalist world is developed because they actively underdevelop the peripheral countries, right? So it's a relationship between center, the core, and the periphery. And so he was talking about this with capitalism for 500 years.
okay, okay.
Andre Gunder Frank now, he used to be part of that school of thought. And then he expanded it radically to talk about a 5,000 year world system um,
Okay.
that, that he said this goes well beyond capitalism, and that the idea of capitalism may not even make sense when you rigorously look at it, and that there's been a long historical economic system that's been around for 5,000 years, trade in goods, gold, ships, and all these things, and it is unbroken for 5,000 years. It's just that the centers may shift from time to time, and what Wallerstein was talking about with the 500-year world system is that when the center started to shift to Europe a bit, right? But that it was originally Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Indus Valley, perhaps China, and later on it expanded, and Europe only came into the system very late after colonialism, when it had the gold from
Yes.
the Americas that it could participate. But anyway, but what Gunder Frank was doing, and what I learned from him, was that he started to look at like archaeology. He started to look at just bare facts, and see how the narrative of world history just did not match up. And so I learned so much, and he was looking at the expansions and contractions in economic history, and how the Chinese economy was related to the ancient Chinese economy was related to the ancient Roman economy, and the business cycles there were connected, and all these things, and it just opened my eyes on how to approach the world. And then I have this book of maps throughout world history, and you see how important the the Mongol Empire was, the Ottoman Empire, the Mughal Empire, and you don't learn about the importance of these, or the Persian empires, and you don't learn about the importance of these in world history, as if only Rome and Greece and the British and French
Yeah.
and Spanish were important. And it just made me look at world history different. So now I'm just interested, because I'm interested. When I came across your stuff, I was just amazed at you were kind of doing the same thing. You're looking at all these facts and making sense of them in a way that what we've been taught does not. And it's just you kind of, so it's really Srinivas Prasad sort of helped you in that, or I
Yes,
mean,
yes, yes. Basically, here, sorry, I will give a simple example. Like, I mean, in 2014, there is a Edward Snowden, Echelon, was broke out. I mean, he became a whistleblower, and he came out and said that US is doing all kind of surveillance on its own citizens, right?
what year is that?
2014.
2014. That whistleblower
Yeah,
came out. Mm-hmm.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
Snowden, you're talking about.
Yeah, Snowden. Yes,
Oh, right, Edward Snowden. Yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah. 2013 for that thing going out, like he's
Yeah.
getting asylum and from different like,
Yes.
I mean, he was banned out of US and all those things.
Yes, and he's in
So
Russia
when,
now.
yeah, yeah. so it's completely a technical, kind of a thing, like how the surveillance is going on, and how the human intelligence is working out, and how the technical intelligence is working out, and all the globe, everywhere, in a news channels is like they are discussing on tech int and human intelligence and this kind of things, and how they can secure their national security policies, international policies, and diplomatic communications, and all those things.
And
So
that's
when all
your
this,
field, all that kind of cybersecurity and
yes,
stuff
yes,
like that. So
yes,
that's right.
all this discussion became the one of the main point of the discussions in every news channel.
Yes.
So then we looked into this kind of a case as in different angle. For example, uh, Echelon is only one of the offshoot of Five Eyes program.
Five Eyes.
So yes, Five Eyes program. So Five Eyes is all English speaking countries. They came together. They formed a committee called Five Eyes. So they said that uh, and the Five Eyes program is born out of it's a brainchild of Louis Mountbatten.
Okay.
He's
So what year are you talking about?
It's 1948.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant
47.
it was a recent thing. Okay, so 19.
Yeah, he's the last viceroy of India.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And he was Governor General too, wasn't he?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
when India became independent. Yeah.
So this is where it started. It's not started from Edward Snowden, right?
Right. Right.
So
So okay. Yeah. So you looked at how Snowden goes back to 1948 or the
yes,
40s.
yes. So how they formed, how the root causes started. Steps started from out there. How they build up the communication channels, right from post World War II.
Right.
So after World War II, they know that then only they know that the world is going into the digital communications.
Mm-hmm.
Communications is paramount of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So unless we have the communications, right, or the communications in every country, we cannot rule the world, or like we cannot do the business, or
Yeah.
our corporations cannot sustain,
How
or our
do you see
businesses can't sustain.
Facebook and how do you see like Facebook and Google involved in all this spying thing and so forth? And so what do you think of China's policy of blocking Facebook and Google as opposed to India, which allows it, I suppose?
Yes.
How does that fit in?
So Chinese they know that how, because they still know that Asia for Asians. So some of the war generals, they know the history.
Yeah.
During Mao, after Mao, post Mao, when Deng came into the power,
Yes.
he changed the entire narrative of China.
He changed the entire what?
Entire narrative of China, like from he started the China for Chinese only, like
oh right, yes,
everywhere
yes.
China, yes.
Right, he changed the
He
narrative.
started the expansion, yes.
Yes.
He started the expansion policy of his companies. Chinese has to be there everywhere. Chinese company has to make.
Right.
China has to come to the power. Not with this kind of a population, we have a power to rule the world. This kind of a slogan he brought into the people.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started the expansion policy. Then they formed their own national security policy that everything has to be controlled in the China, like Chinese is the language.
Yes.
And Chinese products has to be there, and only the Chinese has no foreign intervention has to be there.
And what I was thinking too is that the Chinese policy against Facebook and Google is not only from the West, they see it as it's restricting freedom and controlling information, and that may well be part of it. But also, what's also part of it is that definitely Google and Facebook and all these things like Siri and Alexa, these are essentially data gathering, spying tools. And,
Yes, yeah,
and Facebook and Google sells this information to governments um, and and NSA
yeah,
and I mean, and it was revealed that I don't know if it's Dell or but any major computer manufacturers put in special chips for the
yes,
CIA so that they could read your computer. And I mean, and this is admitted. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is all the documents
yes,
that you get that. So all these all this technology and your phones that track your location
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's all these are all spying tools and
yeah,
that and China I think is fully aware of that and so whatever it wants to do in terms of controlling information, what information spreads among its citizens, but it's also about preventing espionage.
yes, yes.
Would you agree with that analysis?
Yes, as I'm telling, like how the Mountbatten has started uh, Five Eyes. I mean, all the English-speaking countries has to come together and start a channel. How to control over the communications? Uh, what kind of a data has to go into the communications? What kind of a data has to fit to the people? Only this kind of a thing. Like, I mean, they started a kind of a department called information warfare at that point of the time,
Okay.
because during World War II they know that digital communications will rule the world. So from there, the scientific establishment has worked on how to develop the tools where we can collect the data as fast as we can.
So what were they doing
And
in 1948? Like, I mean, like propaganda through radio or stuff like that? And because they didn't
yes,
have TV.
propaganda. Yeah, they used different tools of communication, like radios and uh, and later telephones came, wired telephones came.
Right.
So so then they started wireless. So all these departments, they already. I mean, if you see that the concentration of the technological study has went into the US and Europe.
Hmm.
It went and fell into the hands of Five Eyes countries
Right.
like UK, US, Australia, and other three countries like English-speaking countries. They went. They all these companies. If you see that all these companies are coming out of these Five Eyes countries.
Right. Right. And another thing, like on a different topic now, just to look at some of the things I've learned by reading your magazine, and just for listeners to know at this point, I mean, we'll talk about it more at the end, but they can get your magazine from greatgameindia.com, is it? Or
Yes, yes, yes,
greatgameindia.com. Yeah.
yes,
And I mean, I was learning about how the multinational corporations today, so
yes,
many of them are descended from the families that own the East India Company, and that many of the mining companies that are, trying to use satellite data to look under the ground, ostensibly for minerals and so forth. They're actually looking for buried treasure because when a lot of the temples or kingdoms were raided in the medieval periods or in the early modern periods, the kings would hide trillions and what in today's money is trillions of dollars um,
yes.
worth of treasure that's still under the ground. And there was a recent find last year, I believe, in Kerala about it was like $1 trillion of
Yes, Travancore King. Yes,
yes. Yes, can you
Travancore King.
elaborate on that one?
Yes. Basically, you are talking about the corporations, right? Like, as far as for my understanding, I mean, from my understanding, the first corporation is East India Company.
Right.
It is as simple as it is.
Yes, that's
Right?
right.
That,
Mhm.
that, that East India Company, it's a company. It's a private limited, like we can call it as private limited or what LLP or whatever the
Yes.
company act that we are following now, the
Yeah.
world is following now. But it's a company, it's a corporation company. The main ideology or the main aim of that company is to destroy the kingdoms
Right.
and take over the trade that the kings are doing it.
Right.
So the replacing of the power from the kings to corporations.
Mm-hmm.
So it is as simple as it is. And now, if you see that the governments
mm-hmm.
or replace the kings, and the governments or, I mean, do you think that these corporations don't want to replace? I mean, the power. Do you think that these companies are will get the power? Will not give the power to the government? Like, for example, if East India Company is formed to take the power from the kingdoms, these corporations are formed to take the power from the government.
Yes. Yeah, because just as, I mean, companies today buy politicians and they own the media and control the narratives. And I mean, the East India Company is actually bolder than companies
Yes,
today.
yes. If you see the government, for example, the government machinery, the entire machinery, they are revolving around the corporations.
Yes.
The news channels,
yes,
for example, the fourth pillar of the government, that democracy, we call it as a fourth pillar of the democracy.
Yeah.
It's under the control of corporations.
That's right. And in America, the corporations that control the entertainment, movies, Hollywood, the video games also control the news. I mean, the Time Warner, you know, I mean, it's the entertainment industry and the news industry are controlled by the same corporations. You know, they're using the same staff and scripts and things so far. They are actually shaping narratives.
Yeah, yeah. The only difference is there is only one company at that time, and now there are different companies, and different companies. Might be there are some good companies. We can't tell that. Like, there are some good companies who wants to do make money out of it, but mostly, if you see that acquires and mergers, all these companies are again bought by the same. Again, the same multinational companies which are born out of East India Company.
And what I find very important and amazing about the work you're doing, that is not just like a history buff thing, just to know about history and because you're curious and interested. I mean, you take these reports and you show how it's relevant to today and what's going on in politics today. And then you've embarked on campaigns against scandals and corruption and that's really, really affected national politics in India. Could you give me an example of some of the biggest sort of scandals that you've broken and that have really taken off in Indian public life?
For example, demonetization.
Demonetization. I don't think most of the people outside of India understand what that is. So can you explain what demonetization?
So demonetization is eliminating the currency, some part of currency from the regular circulation.
So it's kind of like moving to a cashless economy.
Yes, it's kind of removing, for example, removing 100 rupee notes, removing a bunch of 500 rupee notes from cancelling it, like from the currency circulation.
Okay. So is it more like currency replacement? I thought it was something like moving to a cashless economy with microchips and
It's a part of it. It's a part of it. For example, demonetization is, current Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, he came into the media suddenly in 2000, maybe 17, I think, 2016. Yes, when it came, the demonetization came into the effectually came into. So suddenly he went and declared demonetization.
And the excuse he gave.
He cancelled 500 notes and 1,000 rupee notes.
Right. So they were all cancelled overnight, or you had a period of time?
Yes, overnight.
So what happened if you held 1,000 rupee note?
You have to go and submit in bank and get the real one. Change it to 100 rupees.
Okay, so you have to change it to a lower denomination.
Yes.
Or could you have to deposit it into your account and
Yes. Then get 100 rupee notes.
right. So
From
you couldn't
ATM
use it in
machine.
the store, but I guess for a period you could you could
Yes.
get the value for it at the bank or something.
Yes.
And
So
this,
then,
this has been it was said it was to combat what money laundering and tax avoidance. Is
yes.
that
Yes.
correct?
So they told that it's for to stop the money laundering thing, and also fake currency,
And fake
to
currency.
stop the fake currency. Yeah, but we went and see the things in different manner. That when the timing of honorable prime minister, making this policy, doing this demonetization thing
Yeah.
is very peculiar. Very suspicious. So when British prime minister came, at that point of time, British prime minister came to India.
Mm-hmm. That was Cameron.
So when no.
Was it
Hello.
was it Theresa May or David Cameron at the time?
May.
Okay. Right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she came to India. She came to India for India England financial. Silver Jubilee function kind of a thing. India England financial relations
Mm-hmm.
conference. She came to India on part of that, and exactly in the same evening, he came to media and announced demonetization.
Okay.
And after he announced that,
Mm-hmm.
the printing, minting, we can call it as minting, the minting of the notes, that contract went into the British company called De La Rue.
Okay. So and so what would De La Rue do?
De La Rue is minting. Printing. They give the designs for the
All
notes.
right. They make money all around the world, don't they? They make
Yes,
billions. I think they actually
yes,
may make the currency for my country, Trinidad and Tobago, as well.
yes,
Mhm.
yes.
That's right.
They give the prints,
Yeah.
designs for the. They don't control the minting machines, but they give the designs for that. They control the thing. So, but De La Rue company has suspicious background also.
Right.
Before that, De La Rue company, it's basically a British company,
Mm-hmm.
and it also print notes for the Pakistan also.
Right.
Okay, so under this rule, before in the parliament, there is a ban on this company.
Okay. So there was a ban
The
on De La Rue.
parliamentary committee report has given a report called under the national security thing. They banned this company because
Right.
it's also working for Pakistan.
Okay.
Okay, so there might be a chances of generating fake currency.
Right.
So that's why they banned it. So,
Okay.
but interestingly, the ban was lifted out, and they gave the contract to the same company.
Right.
And also, this De La Rue company owner Roberto Gioro. His name is Roberto Gioro.
Mm-hmm.
There is a incident that happened during Kandahar hijack.
During what?
Kandahar hijack.
Oh, right.
The
The
hijack.
hijack of Kandahar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kandahar hijack. So during the Kandahar hijack, this guy was there in that plane.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, it's for him that hijack has happened.
Okay.
It's not like regular terrorists. Taliban came to India and they want to threaten India under the Islam or something like jihad. It's
Yeah.
not that kind of a terrorism that was told in our media, but
Right.
it's not that. It's because that this guy is there.
Uh-huh.
Because there are various reasons that why this guy, many countries during that, the most plausible theory is that during the same point of time, Afghanistan war is going on. Afghan, like Mujahideen forces are very strong.
What year
The
was that?
Gulf War is going on, 1998.
Okay. Right, right. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. So,
So
so, so,
Afghanistan.
so that hijack occurred in 1919. He was part of that. So,
Yeah,
so you were really delving, doing investigative research, delving into the
yes,
personal history,
yes,
right?
yes,
Which is, I suppose, a lot of people say that, that's the way conspiracy theories work and so forth. But that's the way
yes,
conspiracy happens. I mean,
yes, yes,
because of these links. Yeah. Hmm.
yes. That's how the government do, right? Like they don't do anything like openly.
Yes.
Something they go into the shadows. That so as a citizens of the country, that we have to know that what
Right.
exactly
So,
going
so
on.
what, so what was the, so this became a national issue in India?
Yes, this became the national issue. That why this kind of a company got a contract, and
Right.
why this kind of a thing. Then we wrote an detailed article on this, and then we also received a defamation letter from Roberto Gioro. I mean, from the Dilaru company.
Right. And that
So
letter from the
then,
Delaware company was what? A threatening letter to you, or?
yeah, as like all these things that you are writing is not true, and so you have to,
Right.
I mean, maintain the defamation. I mean, maintain the facts and all those things. Then we wrote a letter written back. Written back the letter stating that we are only writing the parliamentary committee report,
Yeah.
and these are the things that are there. Suspicious cases are there on your company and all. So
Now,
then we never
now
got a reply from the company.
these articles you wrote in your reply, this was done in Great Game India magazine first,
Yeah, it's there.
and then
Yeah.
picked up by the national press after. Is that it?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
so your journal has become very influential in that respect. Then
Yes. Yes. Yes.
a lot of high-level people read your research, and then it can
Yes.
get out into the national and regional newspapers in India. Yes,
Yes.
indeed. So what happened to that contract eventually?
It's under the part of debate only.
Okay.
Still there, like, yeah,
All right. Right.
because the current government is in support of these companies.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, and another case is Aadhaar.
Aadhaar. And could you explain Aadhaar for people outside of India?
So Aadhaar is nothing but a unique ID card. Uh,
Mhm.
a unique ID card that was like this unique ID card was a brainchild of Nandan Neelakaneni.
Of London?
Uh, Nandan Neelakaneni. He's a guy.
Oh,
He's
London.
he's a guy. Nandan Neelakaneni.
Hmm.
So he's the architect of this Aadhaar.
And so this would be like a card that would have everything, your birth
Everything.
certificate, your
Yeah,
driver's
everything.
license, um, all your
Uh,
information on
Basically,
one.
it started. Yes, yes. But basically, it started over making this card as all-in-one card.
Yeah.
Basically, everything into that one, but it never ended up over there. So it, but what they did during this process, on the process of making this card, they collected the biometric data of all Indians.
All right. So was that a special exercise they had to do to collect the biometric data? Or did
They
that
gave the mission.
exist
They
already?
gave the entire government machinery was worked to collect the data for all these. Uh, the companies.
So they did that exercise specially for Aadhaar, the,
Yes.
the project. So they collected biometric data, which would be like what? Thumbprints, eye scans,
Some eyes. Yes, eye scans.
eye scans.
The retina scan and also thumbprint.
Right. So the thumbprints and the retina scan. Hmm.
So they collected. So we wrote an article on it.
So just
And
explain how would this be done? Would they say that everybody has to go to a center to do this, and if you don't do it by a certain
yes,
date, you'll be fined?
they forced it. They forced it onto the citizens that you will never get a PAN card, or you can't open a bank account. You can't get a SIM card. Uh, you have to show the Aadhaar card is compulsory for it.
Right, right. Okay. So they say if you don't have the
So,
card, you can't get a
but
bank
still now,
account. Hmm.
Yeah, but still now Aadhaar is not a national identity card.
Right.
It's never a government issued card. It's still in the hands of private.
So this card was wasn't even a government card.
Yes.
It was a private. It's a local local Indian company, or was it a multinational company?
It's a collaborative thing. Yeah.
Right. And so what was the national issue that you had raised out of that?
After that, basically the collection of biometric data
Mm-hmm.
was done by the machines that was manufactured in US and France.
Yes.
So they provided the different companies. They provided the biometric machinery.
Right. So
Okay, we thought that all this data was stored in their servers.
right.
It's not in our servers.
So
They also have the copy of our biometric data.
so that the biometric data, all these, I don't know how many citizens, was it hundreds of millions of citizens?
Maybe 80%.
80%. So that's like
Yes.
about 800 million citizens
Yes. Yes.
are stored in private servers in France
Yes.
and the United States, and not by the US government, right? So you
Yes.
had raised.
When we wrote an article, yes, Julian Assange also tweeted on it. Tweeted our article.
What did
CIA
Julian Assange say?
He said the CIA has access to other data.
Right. Are you in contact with Julian Assange?
Yes, man, in the Twitter.
Sorry?
In Twitter,
Ecuador? He's
a regular follower of Great Game Media.
Oh, excellent. That's amazing, right? I mean, that's certainly the caliber of person that would read your
when
stuff.
he tweeted it, all the news channels and the local newspapers,
yes,
they picked up Great Game India article.
Right. So Assange tweeted
and
your
the next
article.
day, every newspaper has printed this article.
And how about Edward Snowden? Do you have links to Edward Snowden as well?
Indirectly, he never tweeted us.
Right.
But
Yeah. Well, right. So I mean, I know. I mean, you do this regularly, don't you? You make campaigns out of this, because it's not just historical work for the sake of historical work. You're showing that this type of exploitation and data mining and looting, because you were also talking about how the looting of like national treasures from temples and these things sold in London at places like Sotheby's and Christie's, and used and then used also to bail out the banks in the 2008 bailout with Lehman Brothers and so forth, and then also funding terrorist activities. Could you explain that a little for us?
Basically, you are talking about 3-4 things.
Okay.
So 3-4 things. Christie's and Sotheby's, everywhere in the world, they know that they are they auction the smuggled goods from the Asia.
Yes.
In the past.
Yeah.
They are born out of making money out of the smuggling goods.
Yes.
Yes, right. So now they are the fancy, sellers, traders of the goods over there in the Europe. But past they have a little bit dark history into their business.
Just like the Sassoon family selling opium, and the British Empire was based on looting and drug dealing and amazing.
So it's the same kind of a history they have. So Christie's and Sotheby at one point of it, and the diamonds. You're talking about the diamonds and the things, right? Diamonds are good friends of money laundering.
Yes.
Of the terrorist.
Yes.
So they are the easiest way of doing the money launder for the business corporations or for the terrorist or for any I mean, corporate war machinery to buy the arms, to illegal, like, I mean, to peddle the drugs, everything. Diamonds are the mediation of currency transaction.
Right, and it's also very much related to arms dealing and all that kind of stuff, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Everything goes, all the illegal black money transaction goes through diamonds because
Right.
it's the easiest way.
Mm-hmm.
It's because one diamond can cost many billions of dollars. So
Yes.
they can just give one diamond to other part of the guy and they can easily transact the arms or opium or anything, drugs or
Mm-hmm.
anything,
Right.
bank transaction, corporation transaction, everything goes through diamonds.
And I mean, you're not only looking in history what happened, but today this is still going on, and you've broken some
Yeah,
cases.
it's still,
Is that correct?
yeah, it's still going on. Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. So what
So
was the recent case you broke?
recent case we broke on the diamonds is uh, Tirumala temple.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the richest temple in the world. The Tirupati temple. It's Lord Venkateshwara temple. So they have the vault of gold and diamonds and every precious metal.
If I could just
Uh,
interject here, I don't think most people understand that the only source of diamonds in the whole world up to, I can't remember, the 17 something, so up to the 18th century, the only source was India. That
yes,
that nowhere else in the world produced diamonds
yes, yes,
except India, and like places like Golconda
yes,
in the south of India were the
yes,
only places that you could get diamonds. And so this temple you're
yes,
talking about is in the south of India, and I'm
yes,
assuming
South
one of
Africa.
these ancient diamond producing
Yes,
territories.
yes, yes,
Right. Mm-hmm.
yes. So,
Yeah.
like we are talking about Vijayanagara Empire, even the Vijayanagara, Krishna Devaraya, the ruler of Vijayanagara, he also gave a lot of gold to this temple
Right.
for the development of the temple
Mm-hmm.
and temple society. And a lot of kings, they offered their golds and diamonds to this temple. And all these golds and diamonds are still there in their vault.
Right.
So they decorate the idol, Tirumala temple. They decorate the entire temple with these golds and diamonds when the festival comes,
Right.
season comes.
So
So
so the
one of the
vaults.
diamond is missing.
So people know where these vaults are and everything. Is it hidden
Yes,
or is it
yes, it's open. It's open.
okay?
Often, more once in a year, they also open a museum to see what all there in the temple.
Oh.
So how, I mean, it's a culture. How we are preserving the culture and all those things. How
Yes.
we used to do the thing. So basically, that India, because India is called Ratna Garbha, means it's a it's a where the diamonds are everywhere. Even in Africa, the diamonds are there, but
Yes.
they never. The only precious diamonds come from India because we used to decorate the diamond. We used to make, beautiful diamonds,
Right.
carve the diamonds, and
Cutting.
make ornaments.
Yeah.
Yes, cutting
It's
and
only
technology over there.
later in the 1700s sometime that diamonds are found in South Africa, and then
Yes, yes,
later in I think I
yeah.
can't remember Brazil had as well. Brazil, South Africa. Yeah, but those are
Yeah,
the
Brazil, Congo, and everywhere.
yes. Mhm. But that's very recent in world history. Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. So, but 500 years back, 600 years, we used to make ornaments and decorate it. Even we used to decorate the horses, elephants, and everything with diamonds and gold
Yeah.
during the festival season. And this kind of a thing is the culturally thousands, maybe billions of years. I mean, coming from the tradition.
Yeah. Hmm. So
It's
so
not
what was the
only
scandal that you
confined to
broke?
Vijayanagara Empire. Yes.
And so what was the scandal that you recently broke about this in terms of
So one of the diamond
smuggling and
that is missing. It's called pink diamond.
the pink diamond?
Pink diamond is missing from the vault
Okay.
of Tirumala temple.
How much is that worth?
And interestingly, it's around 280 crores to 700 crores in between that. Exactly, no one accounted it, but it's very precious.
Right,
It's
and that
about 280 crores
and that is rupees you're talking about, or dollars, or what?
dollars.
So that's about 780 crores is $78 million.
Yes,
Right. So that one diamond could be about $78 million
yes,
estimated.
yes, yes. It's a
Mm.
pink diamond. It's very rare diamond that was missing from the vault of Tirumala temple. But interestingly, after 1 month, it was found in the Christie's and Sotheby's auction.
Right. Okay. And
So
so
the temple
uh-huh.
priest has demanded for the investigation whether it is the same diamond or not.
Right.
So we wrote the article on it, like, and then we went on to the history how the diamonds are auctioned over there during the British time.
Right.
That
And
that also made a lot of, I mean, in
so
the
so
state
so what's
government.
happened to the diamond since?
After that, after that, now the investigation has never been into the. It's only confined to the temple. It's still
So
the case,
so
pending case.
okay. So but who has it right now? Is it Christie's, you said?
Yes, Christie's has it.
So they still have it. They are
Yes.
going to open an investigation.
No, it never been open. It never been went up to this.
Okay. So they're going to go. They still want to go ahead and sell it.
Yes, yes,
Right. Right. But this is a campaign that you're on to. But Christie's
yes.
has acknowledged it, or they've ignored it. They've denied it.
They,
What's their response?
they denied it. They denied it. They responded that it's not the same diamond. It's a different from Africa somewhere. They told,
Yeah.
but the priest of the temple who has knowledge over that kind of a diamond,
Yeah.
he said that it's the same diamond that. But he also demanding the proper investigation will solve all these things. Why the Christie's is not open to the investigation?
Right. So that's an ongoing campaign you have to
Yes,
to
yes.
recover this.
But and also there is interesting fact that interesting incident that happened like 2 years back. One of the kid he thrown 1 rupee coin over I mean Tirumala temple onto this diamond. I mean when the Lord was decorated with this Balaji Lord was decorated with this diamond.
Yes.
One of the kids he thrown a rupee coin onto this diamond. Then the diamond was broken.
Okay.
That's the theory
Yes.
that the government is telling. That temple authority was telling.
Okay. That
But no one can believe that a rupee coin can break the diamond.
yes, yeah, a rupee coin. Mm-hmm. Wow. Oh, so you're saying that the diamond was broken?
Yes.
Uh, and that's part of the scandal, that they actually broke that rare pink diamond?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So then the suspicions came that the temple priest. Then he said that how can a rupee coin can break the diamond?
Yes.
And so there is something happened in the temple authority only. They only smuggled the diamond out of
Right. Wow.
Tirupati.
Wow. So I mean, and again, just to let listeners know, they can find your reports and all your campaigns and this information from greatgameindia.com, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much to learn from your site. I really love it. I think it's amazing. But you know, one thing I've wondered about this is, so you're doing this excellent work. It's amazing. But do you have some sort of aim, like another aim? Like, for instance, do you want to get involved in politics at all directly? Do you support any political parties or any ideology? It doesn't seem like you do. It doesn't seem like you support the BJP or the Congress. I'm not sure, but I would have thought that with your very intense, I don't know if to call it nationalism, but certainly your devotion I mean, maybe it is nationalism. You can tell me if you use the word or not. But that you would maybe be more aligned with the BJP government and ideology, but it doesn't seem like that at all. So I don't know. Could you tell me, do you have any, any political or ideological leanings or alliances?
I believe in politics. Politics is one of the powerful tool that we have to solve or to at least dig into this answer and to find the answers for all these conspiracy theories, or from the state level to the international level or anything, like all these issues.
Yeah.
This is the only because it's one of the powerful tools. Everybody is involved in the politics. It's everybody is governed by the politics. So ultimately, that is also one of my aim, to venture into the political power and not into the present uh, government systems like Congress or political parties.
Yes.
We want to start a different kind of a political journey.
Okay.
Uh, we want to start a different kind of a political journey in future, not in the current near future, but in the long run, we will go into the political
Excellent.
journey.
That's excellent. I mean, would you like? I mean, do you identify with any type of political ideology, or have you made up your own ideology, or do you have a name for it? How would you say?
No, we didn't name our ideology yet, but we'll when we start, we'll go into the ideology, like what we are starting it from.
Right, right, right. Oh, that makes it even more fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, so one thing I'm noticing a little more is that this sort of consciousness about the need to revisit the historical narrative about what we're told about colonialism and poverty and the current economic system and all these things. I'm seeing it like in Indian movies a lot. Like you're seeing a lot of things about the East India Company now. Like even just that Manikarnika movie that was just out, and then they had that ZTV series, and then Shashi Tharoor has been coming out very, very strong, on his book tours throughout the world, demanding apologies and being very, very forthright about, what a brutal, genocidal maniac Winston Churchill is, right? Who everybody in the West is told to admire and adore, and we're supposed to hate Hitler but love Winston Churchill, and
Yes.
but even in the United States, I don't know if I think it's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, her chief of staff or something, one of her big campaign people wore a Subhash Chandra Bose shirt, Netaji.
Yes.
And that caused a scandal in the United States because they said
Yes.
that's a Hitler-loving Indian person, and that they're involved with the fascist BJP and government, and so they're trying to make again Indians tell Indians who should be their heroes, who should not be their heroes, who they should like, how they should think about their past, and it seems like people are not taking this anymore, whereas before they might have a little. You notice that as well, and what role do you think Great Game India has had in that?
Great Game India, basically the main part to expose the information into the public as much as because this kind of information is not there in the public domain.
Yes.
The main thinking of the Great Game is why we forgot our history.
Yes.
For example, even US has helped India in its freedom fight.
Right.
It has helped a lot of freedom fighters, upcoming youth like Savarkar and many people, freedom fighters. It helped. US has helped because US also knows that US also suffered with the same British.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that the anti-colonial history of the U.S. and that they fought against it, because right now the U.S. has been so
Yes,
allied with the sort of
yes,
geopolitical
yes.
imperial product that we forget that, yeah, the U.S. helped a lot of people fight against British colonialism, including.
British government, including India itself. So that's where the interesting part is that US is also involved in anti-colonial actions, and it also helped a lot of countries. But after World War, why it shaped itself into aligning with British,
Yes.
and in the same way after World War II, why it went, India went and aligned with the British.
Yes. Yes.
So we, at all of a sudden, the entire masses of India or the entire masses of US, they suddenly forgot the entire narrative of entire story what has happened in the past,
Hmm.
and the fox in the story has become a
Sorry, the fox in the story has become what?
friend.
Right, right. That's right. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is I suppose this is an ongoing investigation and inquiry on your part. Yeah, I too am involved in that. I mean, I think it's so great to be in touch with you, because I'm involved in a similar journey of reinterpreting and re-understanding both the historical past and the present in light of that, and because there's so many connections that people don't realize, that the past is not dead, that it's still living in the present,
Yes, yes, yes.
so I
Yeah.
to sum up, if we're getting toward the end of our discussion here, what would you say your main messages that you want to put out to the world? Do you have a main message?
Main message is know the truth
Right, right.
and know your enemy.
Right. And I mean, I know you're very young, and but still, I'll ask this. If you had to start over, would you change anything that you did on your journey to where you are right now?
No,
No.
uh, no,
Yeah, I think you've achieved a
nothing.
lot by 29. I don't know what more you could have achieved. An
Yeah,
excellent path.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
how about this? Do you have any enemies? I mean, who are the people who are most opposed to what you're doing?
At, no, at presently, no, no one has opposed us. Like wherever we went, like we got great support,
Really? So,
and
like both
more than
political
what we expected.
parties, like all the political parties support you?
Yes, yes.
Really?
Basically, all
Communist?
these politicians at the ground level, they even don't know
Yeah.
what they only have power,
Right.
but they are uh, they are in same kind of a mode that ignorance is a bliss.
Right. So, but like,
So
so like, well, I mean, so communists, Congress people, BJP people, they all appreciate your work. Is that it?
yes, we have we have the same kind of appreciation from all the parties.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, because this type of thing is transcending a lot of the political
Yes,
divisions.
yes,
It's because you're
yes,
getting the fundamental knowledge here. I mean,
yes,
so I mean, you've taken up a kind of battle and fight in a lot of ways, and taking
yes,
on
yes.
a lot of the international corporations and the ties to governments and these things. I don't know. Does anything sort of scare you in this fight?
Until now, we are not scared. Like uh, journey is smooth.
Right.
The journey is
Right.
very smooth, like what we expected. Like we encounter this kind of a question everywhere. Like everyone asks like, did you went into any of the blackmail or any of the warnings from any of the
Yeah.
companies or political parties or something? Like we never went into this kind of a thing. Like
So you've not
uh,
received death threats or anything like that,
no, 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 no. And we never encountered this
right?
kind of a thing. So
But I mean, what would you say has gives you the strength to continue on this mission, on this unique path, and fighting? What is it that gives you the strength and inspiration? What?
basically, we are part of the society,
Mm-hmm.
and if we want to live happily, the society has to be good, because we go into the society, we travel, we journey to the same kind of a community,
Yeah.
and when the community is happy, we will be happy.
Right.
Until then, we have to go through the same kind of a frustration, same kind of a mood changes, same kind of a unhappiness we have to feel when we go and sleep at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if you want to sleep happily at the end of the day, you have to solve at least some of the problems, at least answer some of the questions,
Right.
which are not been answered in the past.
I mean, do you consider yourself a religious person at all? I mean, does that help you or not really, or what?
I'm not completely a religious person, but I'm most into the Sanatana Dharma, means like nature love, like
Yes.
do the nature love, like worship the sun, worship the
Right.
rock, worship the tree, worship the
Well,
sand.
yes, yes. You know, I that's interesting the way you said that because most times I hear people call Sanatan Dharma, when they translate it to English, they say like eternal religion or something like that.
Yeah.
But I've always said a better way to translate it is natural law. And
Yes.
it's pretty close to what you're saying there. Very
Yes.
interesting. So,
Worship the
sorry?
yeah, worshipping the nature, like I mean, water, sun, light, fire,
The
and
planets, the
people,
cosmos, because it's
cosmos,
yes,
and the living beings
yeah.
uh,
Mhm.
are all like made out of the nature only. So
Correct. Um, so, for any young people listening to this podcast right now, what sort of recommendations, what recommendation would you give to them?
recommendations that before just uh, grow the, I mean, questioning the things,
Right.
no matter what it is, like how much low it is, how much knowledgeable you are, or how much. Never bother about someone is telling that why you are questioning these kind of silly questions or knowledgeable questions. There is no that kind of a differences. Question is very powerful. Keep questioning your things. Keep questioning your doubts. Keep questioning your journeys that goes into that, like until you get the answers.
Right. Right. And so, over the next 5 years or so, what are your plans? I suppose personally, for Great Game India, politically, I don't know. What sort of plans do you have up ahead?
We want to start I mean, online news channel.
Mm-hmm.
Basically into I mean, India is into different languages.
Yeah.
No one will go into the English. Like, not a lot of people can understand English. So
Right.
we want to start a bilingual. One is my mother tongue is Telugu.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Andhra Pradesh, so my mother tongue is Telugu. So I want to start a bilingual web news channel, that English and Telugu.
Right. Very good. Very good. And then, I mean, that could even start to translate some knowledge that exists in an information that's only exists in Telugu right now to bring it up to the English speaking
Yes,
world. So that I would look
yes,
forward to that.
sure.
And tell me, when is your next issue of Great Game India coming out?
Already we released a book like past, I mean, week back.
Okay. And that
We released a book. It's not. It's called India in Cognitive Dissonance.
India Incognito.
Cognitive dissonance.
Oh, dishonor.
Dissonance.
Okay. Oh, dissonance. Oh, right. Yes. Yes, I've seen that. Indian cognitive dissonance. Yes. 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 Mm-hmm. So how can people get it? Right. And
They can order online.
at
Go to
greatgameindia.com.
greatgameindia.com. Yes. Yes.
Right. 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 Excellent. Yes. Yes. I've seen that on your website. So, well, I want to thank you so much for the work you've been doing. I mean, I think it's intellectually exciting, and it's also socially and politically impactful and meaningful. Now, I really admire your vision.
I also want to thank you, Dr. Kit, for finding me out of like 1 billion population, like more than 1 billion population of India, and interviewing me. So like,
Yeah, well, it's because of the research I'm doing, and then going on Google, and then I came across your stuff. I said, "Wow, you're doing the same research!" I couldn't believe it.
Okay.
You did way more than me. I mean, I said, "Wow." I said, "Wow, okay. This is amazing." I just couldn't believe it when I found it, and I just sort of lapped all the stuff you're doing. It I think so important, I mean, and you're doing this, with such a vision and commitment and bravery and determination. I really wish you every success in going forward.
Thank you. We can bring different case studies but we can focus discussion. I mean, most prominent cases in the international politics, what's going on in like Syria and America war, and how the Russia is doing it. So we can focus discussion on detailed discussions on these kind of wars.
Right. So you mean in future you will be focusing more on those international issues as well?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's very important for the global link now, because it's all linked. All these things are linked. It's linked to it, because like the terrorist financing too is linked to India, and to see the web in action is important. So many people think all these things are happening. It doesn't make any sense. It's chaotic. Something's happening here. Something's happening there, but they don't understand how there are deep connections between all these things.
Yes.
Well, that's great. I really look forward to keeping in touch with you and to checking out your upcoming issues and books and publications.
Sure.
Well, that's all for Independent Thought and Freedom this week. Please join us again next week. And in the meanwhile, please make sure you subscribe, leave me a rating, like and share this podcast with your friends. Thanks, and bye for now.